Hey everybody, David Art Becker here with BeckerArt, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about pattern design. What am I talking about? It's like last week we were talking about Notan and about value patterns and stuff like that. Well, this week I'm going to explain some of the value patterns that you could make with lights and darks and kind of compose them in a composition that's going to be balanced and stuff. And so I'm just going to run you through like ones that I found that are the most popular ones. There's many different ways of thinking about how you pattern. And let me just go right into this and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So basically, just think of it as a scale. And the first one I'm going to talk about is balanced weight. So basically, when you're looking at the composition between black and white, I'm just going to draw little thumbnails of all these things I'm talking about. So when you're talking about balanced weight, think of it like a scale, basically. And so with a scale, you're going to be putting like, let's say a board right here. When you put the scale over here, where it's balanced right here. So if we put a big, huge big, huge object there, then we have a small one on this side because the balanced right here. So making it look like, and this could be, when you kind of make it a landscape, these could be trees, this could be a small bush or whatever, but it's about the lights and darks. Remember, I'm talking about lights and darks and designing them as a big pattern of light and dark. And so then basically this would be the background being light and the foreground being dark, right? And so that's kind of a balance. And there's balancing, you do that upside down too. And again, think of it as a scale. They call this balanced weight and scale, like a scale. And you can do that upside down. So again, let's say up here, is the sky dark and you got some clouds or whatever, some really dark clouds here, and you balance it with a little bit of less clouds over here. And again, it's like a hanging scale, think of it. And again, I'm not saying that, just think of these as design elements and how you're not sure what these products are going to be or what these items are or what the landscape is going to be. But this is a way of balancing your lights and darks, making them simple. And the simpler, like the yin and yang symbol, the better it is. And so that was the first one I talk about in its pattern. And then the second one here we have is the S, Z, or O design, and O being the yin yang basically. So when I'm talking about O, let's start with the O, like this is more formal. I gotta also let you know that there's formal composition and informal. Informal is the balance between you making it balanced, look balanced. The O or the formal composition is whatever's on one side is on the other. So if you're doing a round circle, and let's say the whole outer edge here is almost dark, you can make that so then the inside of this is light and that's the outside is dark. Big, big, huge composition. Now when they do the yin yang symbol, they make this dark, with a little circle here and a little circle here. And maybe what I should have done though is like leave this part of it light, and then that would be a formal composition, formal look of lights and darks. And let's do it again, just make sure you understand that. So this is a circle, and so if you have yin yang, basically, let's make this part dark, and then this part would be light, and so halfway through here, that's more of a formal composition where it's balanced. Balance again, and it's so weird because we're talking balance for formal, but informal you don't want it balanced, but in some ways you do want it balanced where you're looking at the object being heavy on one side, so you put a little bit on here too, so that you have the balance of it like a scale basically. All right, and so like the S and Z, that's easy. S, it's like a river. If you have a river, let's do the Z first. So we're going to, let's say we're doing a river, and that's basically a Z, right? And then we can make this dark part of it. And again, it's all about like your balance between the black and white, Notan, or whatever we called it last week. We were talking about that, and so this could be, trees up here, balanced together. Again, it's balanced, and this is the composition of Z. And the same thing with S, and we can go opposite that. We can go S. We can actually make the river dark, and this is like the S. There's the S composition, and then you can also still put in your trees and stuff like that, right? And so there's two different kind of ways, SZ and zero design elements, and how to make and divide your lights and darks, black and white. And you kind of look at your photograph, and it may have a little bit of it in there, but it's not, it's not that you're doing an SS. It's just that's a design element that you can possibly use to create a good design. Next one would be the group mass. And what is a group mass? It's basically when you're thinking it's also black and white. And so let's say you have a mass of an item, and it's basically, let's say there's a bunch of trees here, there's a bush here, and there's all kinds of stuff right in this area. And again, if you put it in the center, it would be formal. If you put it off to the center, it would be informal. And so this would be like an informal thing where you put the group mass in. It also can be not just whatever the object are. Maybe there's sailboats all in through here, right? And you can look this up on the internet too. You can look up design elements and how to create certain design. And this is called mass grouping or group mass. I like to call it group massing. It's like, let's say these are all sailboats in this area. And basically, what's happening is here is that it's almost like the yin and yang thing where the light are on the outside and the dark is just the items, right? Very simple when it comes to designing that. And again, it doesn't matter what the object are. This is all about what this design element is, right? And then also there's the crucifix or cross. That's a really easy composition where you make and again, you can reverse this too. So like the cross, you can make the cross dark, let's say there's trees in this area and they go all the way down, and then you cross it with maybe the land background or foreground, something in the foreground. And you could do the opposite there, where you make the sky dark and it's a cross type of thing. Like this is almost like the Swedish flag. Or whatever flag that it comes from. And so that's like a cross, but that's the design element of it. The design is a cross or crucifix. Let's go on to the next one, which would be let's see what we got here. Come on. Hold on 1 second. It's having a little bit difficulty here. Okay, L design. The L design is basically what it says, like the letter L. And so it's very much like almost, it could be like the cross, it could be like the group mass, but it's like basically if there's trees here, let's say we've got pine trees or something. And I use a lot of trees and landscaping just because it's easy. That's what a lot of people, what you guys do a lot. And so that is why I'm using the L. It could be, the L is the land. And that doesn't mean like the things in the back, but, it's basically the darks are the L and everything else is the light. And again, making so that it's either one or the other, black or white, right? And when you have the middle tone, it will go in there. So maybe like the middle tone is the background like we did last week. This could be back here, middle tone, which is hard to do with a Sharpie marker. But let's say that was middle tone and the land back there. It's still, that'd be the light, and the composition or the composition of this would be the L design. All right, and so from L design, you also have diagonal design. Let me just put that in there too. So diagonal lines. And so what does that mean? It's like, let's say you're doing mountains and such. And so it's basically the mountains coming on this side. And then you have this kind of crossing over there. And you're going to have little lines in there and a little bit smaller and smaller. But it's digital lines. It's not digital, diagonal lines that go across. You can always have that as your composition. And then it's not the line work that shows you the composition of the lights and darks, but it is like, let's say this is a little bit darker, that's your dark, and then you have your medium, and so it goes back little by little, and that goes light. But a diagonal is a pretty neat way of showing composition too. Composition where it goes from back to front, and it's just a good design to keep this diagonal on this side, almost like a yin yang. Keep this side. Again, we can do this with the diagonal going this way. Make that all dark. And then as you go this way, you can do that, and that could be lighter. But it's basically one side is light, the other side is dark. And again, make your designing when you're doing this in between the black and white, like the Notan. Notan is what you want to really do that, and so that it is basically black and white, and assign your values, your middle tones, to either the light or dark. The middle tones are not part of this design because this kind of design elements should be about the black and white. It's easiest that way. And the next one is, I think, silhouette. No, tunnel design. So tunnel design is very easy too. It's like the circle. It's very much like, where's our circle here? Oh, there's circle. It's basically a tunnel. So you've got a tunnel. This could be, just a doorway, and so where the tunnel goes to the back, and you have like a tunnel, and so everything is darker on this way. So it's basically this circle type of thing, but a tunnel going through. Very easy design. So everything on that side of the tunnel is light, and everything in the tunnel is dark. They have, basically, if you think about a road like with trees on both sides of it, you can just go back like this, and then like the trees is going back, hanging over. It's kind of like a tunnel look because the trees are all back. So that's a tunnel. It's like you're going through. It's very much to do with perspective also, a tunnel design, so that it goes back, and then you can have it way back here. And you just, like I said, it could be trees, and it doesn't have to be trees. It could be basically an actual tunnel too. Maybe a train, but very much in perspective, when you're doing tunnel design. Our next one we have here is silhouette. Where's my cursor here? Oh, here's my cursor. Silhouette. And so silhouette is pretty much all of these things that you've seen right now, but it's basically your background is light and your foreground objects are dark. It could be anything, and so it could be a lot of these things that you had, like the L shape or the Z shape or the the crucifix. But basically, and also it could be this type of thing too with the group mass. So basically, so let's say there's a castle here, and there's a castle, the Hogwarts castle right here. So you're gonna put that at Hogwarts castle, you got all these things, and then the whole foreground is your silhouette shape. So silhouette design is very easy. I always tell my students to do a lot of sunset scenes, because that is very simple in design, and the fact that the background is light and the whole foreground silhouetted, and that makes it dark. Really nice, simple design. And that leads me to the last one, which is pretty much all of these together. Is patterned light and dark. So basically, pattern light and dark is just what it says. It's a way to pattern the lights and darks, and so look for all these different patterns. But it doesn't have to be exactly one of these either. It could just be anything that you come up with, so that it's like a puzzle. It could be like a puzzle. What is light and what is dark, and usually it should be balanced. It should be silhouetted. It could be group mass, and so whatever you do, it could be like a bunch of trees, all over, a little bit of diagonal with a little bit of cross here. And so you decide on what your big area of light and dark is going to be. It could be a combination of a few of these throughout the whole picture. It doesn't have to be just one of these. And also, it all depends on what your photograph is. And what is your photograph, and how is it designed, and how is it patterned? Is it this patterned light and dark where it's all grouped together? Is it a mass group? Is it an L with a Z? It could even be that with a little S in there too. All depends on, and then you have to look at the end between the lights and the darks of things, because that's what it really is like, how can you pattern this design so it looks balanced, it looks nice, you're looking at it, is it way too much on one side? And then you have to start thinking about things like tangents, but that's more in the composition end of it. This again is more about the Notan, where you're designing the light and dark and making a really designed pattern. A design pattern where it looks nice, and it's has one of these ways of pattern design. This is a design. These are design elements, and it's together maybe again later on with composition. Because there is things in composition, and I have a book out on that. It's called Composition Made Easy. I put it out long ago, and it doesn't have a lot of this in it, because I've learned a lot since then. When I put out the book, it has a lot of good. It has this in there, but not stated like this, like I'm doing today, where you talk about Notan, because Notan is not talked about in my book of composition, because Notan is not it is composition, but it's more about design of black and white. And so that's what I want you guys to kind of figure out is these designs of black and white, and take a look at the screens again, balanced weight. You know, it may think of it as a scale, and so if you have two on something on one side, then have one on the other, but then make it a little bit balanced so that the part that's balancing it is basically on a scale. So you put it way over here, and then this will look okay having the light there. And the Z, S, and 0 design, that's all cool. You saw that. It's just those letters in the alphabet that show a good design. And then there's the cross, of course, the crucifix, the mass group. I forgot the mass group, and that is just grouping of, and that is a lot like all the other ones, the L and tunnel, but in reverse, basically. So it's a lot of, again, keep it simple. And basically what I tell my students is that just look at the big lights and darks. Again, turn your picture into black and white, and actually you're gonna put into the thing. You can get apps now. They're called notanizers apps. And so what you can do is take those put them on your phone. You can take your photo and make it black and white. And then look at the design. Look at the design. Does it fall into one of these? If it doesn't, if it's all scattered, a bad design would be where it's not patterned very well. So let's say this would be, maybe this is almost becoming a not very good design because it's all over the place. So if I got things all over the place and it's just, you know, black and white, it looks like this. And that happens a lot when you turn down and you're looking for your composition and everything doesn't look, it looks all the same. So like that would be a not so great a design. It's more an abstract design, but even an abstract design has to have a little bit of where your eye runs through the painting, a little bit of, and like I was saying too, is like a balance between the black and white. And also what you want to do is think of it as, again, on a scale, but I like to keep things like 60-40 so that you have, if it's halfway like yin yang, I like to make it a little bit more towards, that's formal, but informal, you would make this area a lot more darker. Let's take this one for example, and make only a little bit, about 40% light, and the rest would be dark, you know? And so that would be, and again, this, which was that? I forget which that one was. But anyways, that was diagonal maybe, or silhouette. Oh, that was a silhouette. Yeah, that was a silhouette. So that would be basically when you're doing 60-40 in design. I know this is not super scientific because it really isn't. I don't think you can't make it scientific in so much as that you have to look at it's a visual thing, and you kind of look at it and balance it out, make it the scale, and practice with it too. And I think if you turn, what I'm going to be doing is you guys are sending me some photos, and I'm going to turn them black and white, and I'm still going to see how they're going to look. And I've got about 5 now, so I'm going to need some more from you guys to send me some photographs, and we will show you how I think about each picture that I paint. And so doing that to these, I'm going to try to figure out if there's a design element like this in there. It could be, like I said, any one of these. And so until Thursday, we're doing an underwater scene this week, and it's very dark, and so there's it's going to be pretty much, I think the design would be grouping of the lights and the darks. And so I'm gonna make it black and white and show you on Thursday. And so visit me on Thursday on YouTube at 6:30 Central Standard Time, and watch my paint along, and also subscribe, and we'll hopefully teach you some more each week. All right, so until Thursday, we'll see you then. Bye bye.